Two village idiots with a love-hate relationship
See, you got fat.
So you still look like a 15-year-old girl, but not hot.
who can't stop arguing over Oklahoma sports.
You know what, man? Why am I still talking to you?
Come on, we were doing good there, man.
It's the Just Okay Sports Podcast.
Sooner Nation, Thunder Nation, we are back. This is the Just Oklahoma Sportscast. We call it the Just Okay Sports Podcast because it really is just an okay podcast, but it is also all about Oklahoma sports. I'm your host, Daryl, and I am going to be flying solo tonight. The boys are all over the place getting stuff done, but there's been a lot that's happened since our last pod, including some scrimmages that have gone down that we'll talk about. Been a lot of interviews with players and with staff. And some great recruiting notes as well. So we're going to get all to it. And so we'll definitely dive into it all. Do want to give a shout out, though, to all of you out there who have got youngins like me. Our youngest started preschool this last week. So it's his first week going all day pre-K. And, man, my boy just owned it. So you know how that goes. You're always nervous how they're going to do being in there in that environment the first go round. But he handled it like a champ and did so good. So I've been kind of running that, having to drop him off at the drop-off line, all the things, but it's gone really, really smooth and going. And I know Troy's been getting his kids back in the groove of school. Jared's had work stuff as well as travels back and forth to Canada like crazy. So we'll let you figure out why all that travel's going down, but it's been really good for him, but it's been hard to catch up with everybody. So let's dive into it and talk about it. Let's start with recruiting. We're over since our last podcast. We've had Jake Kreul, the number 63 overall commit in the class, commit to Oklahoma. And, man, it felt like that was not going to happen. As a matter of fact, if you listen to this pod, we pretty much said we felt like Texas had really kind of caught up and really gained the lead in that recruitment. Somehow, some way, OU was able to pull it back and really get it going, which is really surprising. But I will say this, as much as I think it's obvious that Jake really loves OU, I think he really loves Miguel Chavis. I think he really loves the defense, all the different things. At the end of the day, he also said about a week and a half before his commitment that he was going to wait to commit until October and really wanted to see where OU was this season before really fully pulling the trigger. And so I would just say this, I think, and this is true with the whole class, if this starts to go south in any way, shape, or form, be ready for potential flip watches all the way around. Just like we've said, I also believe that if OU really starts strong, that you're going to see some flip watch from guys that committed to other places that we felt really good about moving their way back into Oklahoma and really wanting to come this way. But at this point, with two subpar seasons under Brent Venables, again, I just believe that every coach in the country is in those living rooms constantly saying, this staff is not going to coach you. You're not going to be with those guys. That culture is going to be gone and a new culture is going to be in. And look, if I was a parent looking at this from a realist perspective, yeah, they're probably right, is the thought I would have as a dad. As a fan, I believe that Brent is the right guy. As a fan, I believe that Brent knows what he's doing. As a fan who really, really follows this program, I know that last year was filled with an insane amount of injuries. It was filled with subpar offensive coordinator, coordinating, I guess is the right word. And just all the things that went wrong against them, trying to break in a new quarterback as well. In the midst of all those things, it's not a surprise that they were that way. But does every kid across the country know that? Does every kid across the country even believe that when the coaches try to sell that to them? Those kinds of things, who knows? But Jake was a huge get. And by the way, in his first game with IMG, Jake Kreul, I believe, had 3 or 4 sacks to kick the season off. So he starts it strong, starts it right, and gets it going. And then not long after Jake Kreul commits to Oklahoma, James the Tank Carrington commits to Oklahoma. Now, on the surface, this may not seem like a really big get for Oklahoma. California kid, 3-star. I've seen him as low as in the 600s overall in the class. What I did not realize until after his commitment, started doing a little bit more looking into it, that this is a reclassifying situation. He's supposed to be a member of the 2027 class. He is reclassified to 2026. You add on to that as well, he's kind of bounced to a couple different schools. And that's always interesting, and including one of those being Bishop Gorman. And so when somebody leaves Bishop Gorman to go somewhere else, that tends to not reflect really well on you. And so I don't know really what to make of this. If you go back to when he was a 2027 recruit, he was very highly ranked, was considered someone that was possibly going to be a 5-star recruit. When he reclassifies, he takes a big drop. As he moves from a big time high school to another, he takes another drop. I just don't know how I feel. Now, maybe whatever was going on off the field or whatever reasons he left Bishop, all that stuff, the coaches obviously feel good enough to roll with it. And they feel good enough to do this. And I would have to guess that Jim Nagy's staff, being scouts, and especially with that NFL experience that they have, know to kind of do their due diligence of what's going on off the field. I'm not going to lie, though. This gives me a lot of Davin Mitchell vibes, where Davin Mitchell's talent was very noticeable. If Davin Mitchell doesn't reclassify, he's the number one tight end by far in his class. He reclassifies, takes a small drop, changes high school 2 or 3 times through his time in high school, just continues to kind of fade a little bit. And now, he's at Louisville. And we'll see what he does or doesn't do. But based on looking at that roster and what he weighs right now, it doesn't seem like he's being overly disciplined and committed to the program and what is needed to make it all run and be everything that it can be. So I don't really know what to think about this. Now, the high side and the dream side is this. You're going to have David Stone back. You're going to have Jaden Jackson back. You're going to have Trent Wilson back. You're going to have Marcus Strong back. And so I think the thought is that D-line group that's going to still be there is going to be deep enough and experienced enough that this is not a guy that you need to come in as a freshman and play. You need him to come in and redshirt, put on weight, put on the strength, learn the defense, learn all the things, and just grind for a year. If he truly does that and truly buys into development, along with if this staff is still here, then all of a sudden, maybe this is a steal. In his redshirt freshman sophomore year, this is a guy that just comes out of nowhere and explodes. And there's definitely potential for that. His athleticism is very noticeable on tape. Is he light right now? Yes. But he's also only supposed to be a junior this year. So if we were really projecting him out that in 2 years he would be here, I think he would easily be a 280, 290 guy coming out of high school and coming in. I believe he's around 265 right now, a little light. But again, he's a sophomore starting his junior year right now. And so as long as he can get through this season and put some weight in and maybe get here, I don't know if he'll be an early enrollee or not. Usually the reclassification guys are not. He'd show up in summer. But again, get here in the summer, do the Schmitty workout, learn what it means to grind, learn what it means to do all the things, and take a year, man. Get your body ready. Learn from these guys. Watch what they do. Learn what they're trying to do with their hands, with their feet, how they're trying to read things, how they're trying to see things. And if you'll do that for a year or two, man, the potential is there for this guy to really be a high-level NFL draft pick if he'll do those things. It's all going to be about the mentality because, again, I get a lot of Davin Mitchell vibes here where all the potential in the world was there for Davin Mitchell to be a first-round tight end that a team's bringing in to be the next Travis Kelce or whatever. The work ethic, the commitment, the really trying to strive for greatness was never there at OU. Hopefully he figures it out by the end. But if Carrington can do that, man, what a win it will be for the Sooners to have this guy on the roster. And so that would be a great thing. Now, let's move out of recruiting and let's move over to some fall camp notes. I'd say the biggest thing since we have last recorded is there have now been 2 scrimmages for the Sooners since we've last been together. Scrimmage number 1, from everything that we can gather, listening to other podcasts, all the different things, sounds like the defense really had had the day and really kind of won the day against this team. Look, I don't think that's overly shocking when you consider the fact that Jacob Sexton has been out hurt. You've still been trying to get Logan Hallen back to full speed ahead. You've been trying to get Heath Ozida back to full steam ahead. You've had a few other guys kind of nicked up here and there, like Derek Simmons not playing in that scrimmage as well, or either one of those scrimmages. So the fact that the defense won the day is not a surprise. Okay. Not to mention, I think we all believe as fans that this defense really has the potential to be elite this year. And if that's the case, combined with BV and all that he does and all that he knows and the way he moves things around, look, I'd be kind of shocked to hear anything other than that the defense is winning the day a lot more. Now, within that the defense won the day talk, there's also a lot of talk of some dropped balls of some big plays, that there were some misses on some big plays. And so the offense is you're still getting notes that they're moving. You're still getting notes that they're attacking the things and doing the things that they want to do. And again, that is a night and day difference from last year. And again, a lot of that was injuries. A lot of that was injured offensive line and experienced offensive line, but it was also just a bad system last year. You're not hearing that this year. You are hearing that this offense can move the ball, that this offense is giving trouble to the defense, that they are in there. Matter of fact, several players when interviewed this week saying stuff like, oh yeah, old Buck was in his bag today, putting some stuff on us today, I believe was Omasigo's quote. He really gets you moving around was another player's quote. So, I mean, the defense sees the difference. They really, really see the difference. And one of the biggest ways that you can see the difference is don't just read the words on the transcript or don't just watch the YouTube video of these players post-practice. Watch their face. Watch their tone when they talk about John Mateer. And the way that they're just like, oh yeah, even today, or the most recent round of interviews, Trent Wilson's interview I watched today, him saying, yeah, Mateer, and he just has this big smile on his face, like, yeah, that boy can play. That guy can ball. You didn't hear that last year. You didn't hear people saying those things last year. And so regardless of the defense win this first scrimmage, that's fine. Now, the great news is that scrimmage 2 seemed like the edge went a little bit more to the offensive side and that they really had some big plays. Now, with that, here's the best news for me out of that. I heard that it was by far the best scrimmage, best kind of day for the offensive line running the ball. We need to be able to run the ball in order to open things up. So that's huge. But the other side that came out of that was that Ozida and Hallen, were both playing at a much higher level. Look, you cannot deny that last year when they finally settled on Heath Ozida and they finally settled on Logan Hallen playing on that left side, things started going, as well as when Troy Everett came back, right? When those three guys got going, things started moving and things started clicking and the offensive line started looking at least serviceable through it all. So I think now that you're seeing Heath and you're seeing Logan start to come along and get healthy and get going, you're feeling the line start to get moving a little bit because even with Sexton out, even with Derek Simmons out, you've got two guys there that can really push. And look, having those guys back and hearing good things is massive moving forward. Not necessarily because I think either one will start, because I want to be clear. I believe that Logan Hallen moving to right tackle is awesome for this team moving forward, but Derek Simmons is going to start at right tackle. Okay, now that may not be the case the whole season, but he's going to start the season starting right tackle if he's healthy. Heath Ozida, I don't know if he'll play this year or not, but if he starts, you're not freaking out and you're not worried about it. If EPL starts, you're not freaking out and you're not worried about it. So you've got that. But here's my bigger thing. Now with those guys healthy, and if Sexton comes back healthy, you feel okay about Sexton. You feel great about Fasusi. You feel good about Ozada. You feel good about EPL. You feel good about Everett. You feel good about Fabechi. You feel good about Foje. You feel good about Simmons. You feel good about Hallen. You are literally too deep across the board that you really feel like, and I didn't even mention Makala, the backup center that we brought in from Stanford. You feel good at every single one of those positions, even if a guy goes down. Whereas last year, we knew if any guy that we considered a starter went down, we were going to have major, major problems. That's not the case this year. You might have to deal with some youth, and you're going to have some youthful mistakes. But our problem last year is when somebody went down, we were scared about just, it doesn't even matter if they get the play right. Can they actually block anybody? Can they actually do anything moving forward? And I got to say, the other thing that I'm really excited about hearing is hearing defensive linemen and the staff talk about the way they are about Fabechi Wiwu. Now, look, he came in all touted. He was like a freshman All-American at one point, all these things. Gabe Ikard that first year, God, Fabechi looks like he was built in a guard lab, yada, yada, yada. And then it really didn't translate to great play on the field. He didn't play bad. He was probably our most consistent lineman. But on that line, saying you're the most consistent lineman is not high praise. But from everything that we're hearing right now, he has really put in the work. He's transformed his body. He's moving better. And here's my real thought. Going from North Texas, where as a freshman you get freshman All-American honors, and basically just through sheer size and strength, you're able to walk out on the field and just bully everybody in the trenches, and then to transition to the SEC when you don't have good linemen around you, which means they're going to scheme things towards you, right, from a defensive perspective. I think it's clear to say when the season started, Fabechi Wiwu was the only offensive lineman that you really looked at and said, hey, that guy is the guy that can actually maybe block somebody on occasion. And so you work around those things or to make things difficult for him. And so I think this year, this is like a light bulb moment for him. I think he saw what needed to be done. I think he saw what he needed to get to work on, and he's done it. And he's moving forward on it. And I really expect him to have a very, very good year this year with this line. And he's going to have real help around him. He's going to have real experience with Simmons on his right, and he's going to have real experience with Everett in the middle. Guys that know what they're doing and guys that are very capable of blocking and doing what needs to be done, which is going to free him up in such a big way. So those things really get me going, and just excited again about the fact the offense was moving the ball a lot better within that second scrimmage is great, great stuff. Now, the other big thing I would say that's come out of the last week is no major injuries, and knock on wood, that continues. But it's huge because if you look around right now, around the country, there are lots of injury updates coming out of camps, right? Guys that are going to miss the year, miss the season, miss a majority of the season. Or you got even just little things still lingering, like a DJ Lagway. Like, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? And from what I hear, Florida's just dealing with tons of injuries. Feels like they've kind of got our bug a little bit down there. But just lots of injury things going on around the country. And so far, all of ours have been mild concussions, little sprains here and there, or guys just still working their way back from an off-season surgery, things like that. But it seems as though everybody's healthy moving forward to get things going. I think the only real disappointing injury news is just Giovanni Gibson. And not that anything's happened. So let me say that again. Nothing happened. He didn't get re-injured. But I think we were all just hoping that he would already be really involved by this point in camp. And instead, it sounds like he might still be a week, maybe 2 weeks away before he's really moving forward and really getting in and going 100%, taking contact, those kinds of things. So, like, look, I would say I'm pessimistically hopeful that he could play in the Michigan game. Probably going to be after that, though, I would guess, before he really gets going. But we'll see. It could be they're just being overly cautious with him, but he's definitely not working into team stuff, those kinds of things. But would really like to see him get going and moving for sure. Now, the other thing that is interesting coming out of scrimmages and camps is this. I would think we would all safely say that we were really confident in the defense, but the big question mark we had was corner. And look, I know that there's a lot of positive on corners right now. Every podcast you listen to and every practice report you read says, oh, they feel great, they feel great, they feel great. Devin Jordan, feel great. Jeremiah Newcomb, they feel great. Jacoby Johnson's doing well. This guy's doing well. Gentry's doing well. Okay, maybe. Cortland Guillory, that's the other guy I forgot to mention, true freshman that I really do think is shining for a true freshman. But the fact that we're going from we don't even know if we have somebody to line up opposite of Eli Bowen to now all of a sudden we got six guys that we just feel like can lock anybody down. My concern with that is this: it doesn't mean they're bad players. What does that mean about our wide receivers? And something we haven't talked about a lot just because we heard such rave reviews about Giovanni Gibson. It seems like through the propaganda machine, you see Isaiah Satania constantly making plays that they're putting up on the web and on Twitter and all the different things, X, whatever you want to call it. But is the reality that they're just kind of some guys? Do we just kind of have some just guys, some jags out there at wide receiver that have got some tools, have got some things? And the reality is these big plays that are taking place come from Arbuckle setting things up well, more so than we've got just some real dudes in the wide receiver room. Let's not forget, Isaiah Satania was at Arkansas and wasn't even necessarily their best wide receiver. Giovanni Gibson is from a much lower level of football. Keontae Lewis has bounced around everywhere, never held on at any Power 4 or D1 program, but it's just continued to go from one place to another. Elijah Thomas is a true freshman, and as talented as I think he is, and as much as I loved his tape coming out of high school, he can you really count on him week in and week out in the SEC to just make plays? We'll see. Maybe. I hope so. But let's see. Zion Curry, you hear lots of buzz about him. And look, when you see him with your own eyes, the dude is huge. He looks great. I've never seen just explosion out of him. Like, I've never really seen a guy that can just go. Everybody's going to say, well, what about the deep ball against Navy? He was wide open. So it's kind of easy to run it down the field, whatever route it was that he ran on that play. But have we ever seen him just run by somebody? Have we ever seen him run away from anybody? Do we see really quick feet? Do we see real explosion out of his cuts? I haven't seen that part. He seems much more of a possession, strength, big body, bully, small DB kind of wide receiver, which again, maybe our corners look so good because we don't have anybody that's just a killer at wide receiver. I don't know that that's the case, but it is starting to make me wonder a little bit. And a little bit like last year, we just kept hearing the D line is so good, the D line is so, and they were, but you kind of knew the offensive line was going to be a problem. And it doesn't feel like you hear a lot of back and forth where the wide receivers are just winning the day. It feels like out of every practice, the champion is the DBs and especially the corners. I think it's something to watch. I think it's something to take note of and to watch and to see what's going on. Now, a couple little notes from post-practice interviews really quickly that I thought we would talk about tonight as we get ready. Just 2 weeks, man. 2 weeks away. We're getting this thing going. Cannot wait to get things moving. I loved this quote from Jay Valai when he was talking about Jeremiah Newcomb. I think I can say that name. He called him a little Dolby. And that I love because everything you hear from every single person is that Kendall Dolby is the heart and soul of this defense. He is the unquestioned vocal leader, and he is the guy that really makes the engine go, and he plays with an incredible edge and physicality. Give me all that all day. Somebody to be mentioned in the breath of Kendall Dolby is a win for the defense and is really, really exciting to see. Corton Guillory. This guy just continues to get more and more buzz. And again, I know I just kind of poo-pooed all over the wide receivers, but here's the things that Valai said that I liked. That he's getting to the facility at 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning to watch film with the coaches. And he's asking them lots of questions. That's great. The other one was this, that when he is on the field for his reps, he is asking to cover whoever the best wide receiver is on the field at that moment. That's big stuff. That's elite stuff. That's championship level stuff. So will it all play out this year for him to have some crazy huge impacts? I think if Eli Bowen is healthy and Gentry is healthy and some of these other upperclassmen are healthy, maybe not as much, but I do think you're going to see him get an opportunity to really make some plays. And if he takes advantage of it like Eli Bowen did last year, We'll see where it goes, and we'll see what happens, and what gets going. David Stone, Jaden Jackson, the whole kind of defensive tackle room. Number one, there's a lot of confidence in themselves. But I would say the thing that really encouraged me the most out of their post practice interviews was this: that David Stone's a different guy, that his investment is different. His learning is different. His training has been different. That he is really, for the first time since he's been here, pushing himself to greatness. That's exciting because we all know the potential he has. We all know the athleticism he has, the get off that he has for a defensive tackle. If he's really doing these things and it's not just propaganda, watch out, because that's going to take this D line to another level. Because I would say right now, Grayson Halton is your one guy that you feel really good about in a third long situation, that he can be a defensive tackle out on the field that can really wreak havoc in the pocket and really get a quarterback off his spot and really make him move around. If David Stone is really investing the way they're making it sound like that he is, now all of a sudden you got two guys that can really collapse a pocket. And that's going to hopefully allow for both of them not to have to deal with double teams, but one of them at least is going to have a one-on-one situation. If he can do that, it is going to unlock this defense, because I would say last year, even with Dominic Williams, Dejon Terry, right? We knew Dejon Terry wasn't going to get a pass rush, and so did offenses. So you didn't have to worry about him. Dom last year, Dominic Williams, very much just kind of a plug and hold his spot and not be movable, but never really pushing the pocket, never really using his hands to create space. And even Jaden Jackson, to some degree, was really just an anchor on that D line, which is why the defense and its defensive numbers, against the run were so strong, because that D line never moved. But they also never moved the pocket, which is why you saw some teams get some big plays down the field on occasion against us, because there was no real pressure outside of R. Mason Thomas during the year. If those two guys can figure out the pass rush, and Stone and Halton, it's going to change everything for this defense on third and longs, which is going to be really, really good. From Emmett Jones this week, high praise for Elijah Thomas. Compared him to Malik Neighbors. That's pretty big. That is pretty big. Now, look, I loved this kid coming out of high school. Thought he had all the tools in the world. Thought he was sneaky faster than anybody gave him credit for when he was on the field. And I really, really hope that we begin to see a resurgence to some out of high school wide receivers that are difference makers day one. And I'm hoping Elijah Thomas can really get that going. One of the things that really stood out to me from Todd Bates within his interview post practice were two things. And how quickly, right? We're entering into year 4. The day that Todd Bates stood on campus as a coach for the first time, he had one defensive tackle who was over 300 pounds. Today, we only have one who is under 300 pounds. And I'm pretty sure that's Nigel Smith, who moved from defensive end to defensive tackle. So that's going to get over 300 really soon. Even said that Jaden Jackson and Dominic Williams are both somewhere between 325 and 330. Guys, oh, Lord, thank you for letting us have Todd Bates on this team, because he has transformed the D-line in a short amount of time, and it really is one that has the potential to really move forward. The other thing that came from him and a couple other players that I thought were really good was this: that Dominic Williams is really stepping up as a vocal, emotional, just maturity leader. And what exciting news that is, that he is really trying to elevate himself from a leadership standpoint and from a play standpoint. And look, that guy's got all the ability in the world. And you could see it last year with how aggressive OU was to go get him. They know what he can become. And if he's really pushing himself to become that, buckle up, because it is going to be a ride this year with this defense. And they're going to keep us in every single game we play as long as their health remains and they continue on that track. Could be really, really, really good. I think, again, my final note would just be if this defense is anything like it was last year, let's just say it is what it was last year. If that's who they are, and the offense is this much better, you win 1 or 2 more games. If the offense is this much better, and I'm sorry for those of you listening to podcast form, if it's 10% better, you win a game or 2. If it's 30% better, this team is on the verge of winning 9 games last year with a terrible offensive line and terrible play calling. You move now into a team that's got great play calling and possibly great O-line play. And again, just listening to the defensive players talk about Jean Mateer. Think about last year. I thought about this the other day, and I remembered it. When Danny Stutzman was asked about Jackson Arnold at SEC Media Days, he didn't say he's making plays. He didn't say he's got a huge arm. He said his leadership. We really love his leadership. When people talk about Jean Mateer, big smiles, giggles, and it's that boy can play. That boy's got it. And he's a great leader. The great leader part is a tag onto the rest. Jean Mateer is going to help get this team. Is he going to win the Heisman Trophy? I don't think so. Is he going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC? I do believe so. And I believe he's going to really get this team back on track. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm 9 wins all the way. I believe 9 wins should just be almost a guarantee for this team. If they really do what they're capable of doing. So, man, it should be a really, really fun year. And I hope we're really going to enjoy it. So, hey, and by the way, want to just let y'all know as well, if you want to support this pod, one of the ways you can do that is go to redbubble.com. We've got some merch on there that we've created. We've created a I'm a Material Girl shirt for John Mateer. So you can go and grab that. And we also have our Moneyline Mateer shirts that are for sale on there. And if you want to still be angry with Lincoln Riley, we still have our Lincoln Knight shirts, which is the Rush 3 Drop 8 defense on there. So you can find all that. You go to redbubble.com, type in Just OK Sports, and you should be able to find our store on there. You can also go to our Twitter or X account, and you'll find it pinned on there. We don't just have shirts. We got sweatshirts. We've got phone cases on that site. We've got stickers and buttons. If you'd rather just get a button or you'd rather just get a sticker, you can get any of those things there. All of it helps support the pod, and 10% of all of our profits go to Make-A-Wish. As those of you that have been with us for a while on the pod know, my brother and I lost our mother 16 years ago to cancer. And so that's a big deal for us. And so trying to invest in some families that are going through that and being able to fulfill a wish for them is a big thing for us. And so we really want to continue to push that. So support Make-A-Wish, support the podcast by grabbing you some merch. So we hope that you'll do that. All right. That's all we got for this week. Having a great time. We hope you are too. And please like and subscribe and leave us a great review. We're having a great time. And again, we hope that you do too when you come along with us. We will talk to you guys later. Bye, Baker.
Cha-ching, a Thunder Moneyball. And you can unhitch the wagon. Put the ponies in the ball.